Guys, let's talk about Cursor, because I can't not talk about Cursor. They're looking at a 50 bill valuation, which is nuts, up from 30 bill 4 months ago. Their story will go down in history, no doubt. I wonder if it'll be in flames. Just a little bit of context to put their trajectory in perspective. They were valued at 2.6 in January 25. So that's 20x in a year. They're doing about a 2 billion run rate. They're serving many of the Fortune 500s. They've grown from 12 people to 300 in 3 years. However, it's an aggregator. It sits on top of the foundational models, and they're the middleman. So why would you go to the middleman when you can go direct to the Anthropics, the OpenAIs, and the Googles? That said, 2 very quick wild cards for you. Could Microsoft swoop in and get them to replace a lot of the not so loved products, should I say, in the Microsoft armory? And the other is looking a little bit behind the scenes, and I'm not a massive Cursor guru here, maybe one of you two are, but are they actually in a better position than we think by having the customers? I think they've got about 1.5 million customers now, about a third of that paying. So are they taking all this information and feeding their own model, Composer, and distilling? I'm not trying to cast shade here, but are they actually in a much better shape because they've got the data, they've got the users, and they're just training their own models? So they're in a much stronger position. Mads, this is more your loving space than mine. Where would you go?
I think it's instructive to look at the history of how we got here. AI coding became a thing. Anysphere, the company behind Cursor, were very quick to take VS Code, which is an integrated developer environment. So that means kind of a place where coders can make code. Historically, when you made a software program, you'd have an IDE where you could sit and you could look at the code, you could run some tests, you could see how it did, you had a little terminal window, you could see all your files, you could click them easily. Kind of a place where you have a command console, like a mission control, where you could do everything and write your code. So VS Code was very popular, and they forked it, and they hooked that up to the LLMs, and presto, they created a beautiful user experience that said, look, you're already writing your code. Why don't we just feed all this LLM goodness in here to help you make it better, help propose code, help make changes. You can chat with your code base. It can propose how to improve it. That was wonderful. And for a while, the whole world thought that is how we're going to be coding. Until a year ago, when Anthropic launched Claude Code and said, guys, maybe we just don't need to look at the code anymore. Maybe we just don't need an IDE. And people said it was heresy. People said, no way. And Dario Amodei from Anthropic, he said, look, I really think that in 6 to 9 months, most of the code is going to be written by AI, and it's going to be code anymore. And people said, heresies, this is not going to happen. Well, it happened, right? And by Q4 last year, most of the diehards, they folded. And today, I mean, I don't know anybody who is sort of a leading thinker on coding who writes their own code. It's just, why would you do that? And if you don't write your own code, you don't need Cursor. There's no point in having an IDE unless you sit and look at the code. But if you use Claude Code or Codex, which is OpenAI's copy, or kind of their knockoff, or if you use Anti-Gravity, which is Google's version, you don't need an IDE. And so I just can't see how this can end in anything other than flames. Now, Jasper is the parallel, if you remember that. Before ChatGPT was released, Jasper was this app that wrapped GPT and could help you write copy and other creative tasks. And then ChatGPT was released, right? And Jasper made it to 1.5 billion valuation, and it just totally collapsed. And I think, I don't know, look, I don't know if Cursor is going to disappear completely, but the growth rate is certainly going to slow down, and I think they're going to go in reverse.
I'm totally with you.
So that's my assessment.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Lomax, do you disagree?
Don't disagree, no.
No, I think it is going to be slightly flaming, but we'll see. Maybe there's a bit of I'm assuming there is a listing not too distant in their future, potentially. I've not seen anything for 26.